In this episode of Carpe Diem.
Birds and bees do it. Do we choose to fall in love? Research shows that romantic love is a physical drive as powerful as hunger, and that need never goes away.
Carpe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
Welcome. The big topic today is Zoomer dating. But first, let's see a man that just keeps on going and going, making toe-tapping music with his wife by his side. This week's Zippy Zoomer.
You see, on the bottom, the rest of the band are playing harmony.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to our Zippy Zoomer segment. I'm here with Art and Muriel. Now Art, he just recently turned 100 years old. We're here in Surrey and he's an amazing musician.
Other guys come in with trombone. They come in on that. When I know that they're going to come in, I know that I can go quieter.
Fleetwood Jammers, you're in a band now.
I'm in bands everywhere.
Okay.
It's made up of seniors, and he plays the saxophone, and I think he played with Del Richards in his youth.
Wow.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How long have you been playing this?
Well, this Patoke sax I've been playing now since I got out of the army. I have to wet the reed and all sorts of things.
Oh, that's what's keeping him going.
Is the music.
Yeah, he loves music. And I mean, he could still write music, transpose it. I bet there aren't many people his age that could do that.
No, definitely.
4. You have to have the time right. So here we are now. We got A, B, G, B, B, C.
Art's going to continue to write harmonies here. In the meantime, we're going to head back to the studio with Carmen. If you have a Zoomer to nominate, don't forget to nominate them at zippyzoomer@carp.ca.
What a romantic couple, right?
Well, I think it's the message we want to give to our Zoomers watching this is you're never too old for love. It's a wonderful concept.
The energy between the two of them was amazing. It was just like a dream.
You know what I found marvelous too is his physical health, the capacity in his lungs at 100.
Well, we all want the golden years to be the best years, but often the golden years are not the best years. So life's not a dress rehearsal. We've got to live it up now. We've got to enjoy life.
And better with a partner by your side. Stay tuned. We're coming right back to talk about the hopes and hurdles of Zoomer dating.
Coming up on Carpe Diem.
Myself, I don't want to be alone the rest of my life. I want to meet somebody and share my life, have fun with.
Carpe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
We're talking Zoomer dating. Is it hard to find love as we grow old? We went to the streets and asked you about finding love as a Zoomer.
A short while ago, I did meet someone very much that I cared very, very deeply for and felt things that I'd never felt before. So it is possible.
We're not that old. You know, you're still young in heart. And myself, I don't want to be alone the rest of my life. I want to meet somebody and share my life, have fun with.
Rejection is a very painful thing, and nobody at any age wants to be rejected. And this is why some older folks are scared to try, because rejection hurts.
My husband said to me, if something happens to me, I want you to go and find yourself a man. And I said, well, what makes you think I'm going to want a man?
The best thing in life is being true to yourself. April, is it hard to find love later in life?
Well, Carmen, I think I would say it's different finding love later in life, because what you want, what you're looking for is different. when you're young, you probably have a career, you want to get married, you want to have babies. But when you're our age, you're looking for different things.
Jane, people come to you to find matches?
Oh, absolutely. At different stages of life, you look for different things. And I think that vulnerability, which is key at any age, for people, everybody wants to avoid it. So then you just don't put yourself out there and actually get out and try to meet people.
Well, Bert did.
I did. And I wanted to be married again. I wanted to have a companion to go through life with, to walk beaches, share sunsets with as I get older. But we wanted to have it, but your dynamics shift. You're not looking for a relationship to have children. We've got children previously. So you're looking for a relationship.
Sorry, I have to laugh because my boyfriend uses that word companion. I think that must be a male word. When he said he wanted a companion, I said, so get a dog.
Well, we go for walks together with our dog, but we also wanted to have the intimacy, the sex, the passion, the excitement.
A lot of people come to you for the matchmaking, and we know that Bert is a success story.
Right.
More men or women? What's the ratio there?
Well, the ratio is always more women to men, even on any type of technology, online dating that you may go for, or even some events. And a lot of guys feel intimidated when they go into a room full of women.
You have to have a plan. And with that in mind, watch this clip from my DSCD and let's meet Amy, and she had a scientific plan to find love.
Online dating is predicated on algorithms. I thought, data plus algorithms will lead me to my Prince Charming. And I came up with a list of every single possible thing that I could want in a man. And at the end, I had a list with 72 different data points. And what I wound up with at the end was a super profile. I was honest about my height and my weight. I said that I was culturally Jewish. I didn't bother to try to explain what I do for a living. And I used about 97 keywords that were optimized specifically for the website and the other people on it. I met this guy, Thevenin. I loved what he said that he did for a living, Arctic baby seal hunter, which I thought was funny. He looked exactly like I wanted him to look. Well, 3 weeks later, we went out on what turns out to have been my very last ever first date.
Do we have to be that strategic?
I think you need to have a plan and you need to have some criteria, but I think you can have too much criteria because then all of a sudden now you're weeding out someone that could be potentially good for you.
And I think it's important not to settle. I think at our age we know what we want. So it's really important that you don't second guess your values and what's important to you. Like number one for me was kindness. I don't care if you're rich or handsome, if you're not kind, I'm not interested.
Yeah, realistic expectations. That's what it has to be.
What was on your wish list?
Oh, I wanted a woman that had a joie de vivre, joy of life. I wanted someone that we would travel together with, just really be happy. But having an intimate relationship is very important to me. So I was looking for that physical connection as well as the emotional connection.
While you were dating, did you know right away that, wow, this is the girl?
Oh, the first date, we got pretty carried away. There was an electricity right from the beginning. Jane did a great job putting us together. It was one that I went to with some trepidation because I've been on a lot of dates, but we met for a restaurant for just drinks, and we closed out the restaurant, and we kept on for a little while after that too.
April, you were hard to get.
Very hard. I was done with men. I gave up men, and I met my boyfriend at the mayor's luncheon, and I contacted him 2 years later, and we've been together now 4 years.
You've traveled together a lot.
We travel together a lot. I've also traveled a lot with my girlfriends. I like traveling with my girlfriend. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, when you become a Zoomer, you have a certain amount of accomplishments and funds to do it, and how do you split the costs? You know, you have to have that discussion. And when you travel, first class travel or non-first class travel. I've had a couple clients where they've actually broke up because of that particular process. And then when I coached that client after, when he explained to me he only had $10,000 travel budget and she had a $100,000 travel budget, that's a big substantial difference. But at 75 years old, I said, come on, really? What are you waiting for? Do a chip reverse mortgage and away you go.
It's how much you wanted, and are you okay being alone or not, right? And you didn't want to be alone.
No, I want to be married.
You thought you'd be alone, but you ended up not being alone.
Yes, but I'm what Moses Znaimer calls LATS, Carmen, living apart together separately. My elder daughter figures I'm not in a committed relationship because I don't share a bank account with my boyfriend. But we are in a very committed, loving relationship. We just choose to live in separate dwellings. It's working beautifully, and I know a lot of gals in my book club are envious because I can go home and just put my feet up when I want, and so can he.
Well, whatever works, works, right?
And then we have our
There's no
dates,
rule.
and it's good. So this idea of having to live together, the number of people that say, when are you moving in? We're not. Ask me in a year, maybe I'll change my mind.
We're taking a short break, but before that, let's hear what you have to say about having companionship as we age.
I've been a widow for 30 years. My sister is a widow, so we choose to live together just because we both know that it's not healthy to live apart.
For the seniors, there is a lot of sadness, loneliness. People need to think about.
Carpe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
We're back and we're talking Zoomer relationships. April, we heard people talking about loneliness. Do you find that's a concern for your fellow CARP members?
Absolutely. As you get older, so many of your friends and lovers or husbands have died or are very, very sick. So we all know that social isolation is a huge social determinant of health. So that's the beauty of being a CARP member and an active CARP member in our chapters, like in White Rock. You get together and have social connection. Now, if you meet someone, a companion, all the better. But social connection is so important, not just in the dating world. It's just to have a purpose and have interaction with other humans. It's so important.
The one group I really feel sorry for was a scenario that we see often where a woman becomes divorced. He's left her for a younger woman or something like that, and she's feeling all sorts of problems. And she feels guilty, feels ashamed, she doesn't feel pretty anymore, she's dealing with emotional issues, and they've got to move out, they've got to move on.
And you're out of practice, so how do you get back in the game?
Yeah, well, I think that when you experience that deep loneliness, the actual fear of having it again can sometimes put a roadblock in even moving forward. Because I have found some of my Zoomer clients have said that they may have dated and got connected with somebody and they broke up and they took it harder than they thought even they'd taken up their marriage. So as we get older, it hurts a lot harder.
There's always been dating rules, and this is what we need to talk about too, is have they changed much? Well, let's take a look at this clip from 1949.
How do you ask for a date?
Ian? Well, how about a date? Well, I mean...
Well, really? No thanks, Woody.
Well, suppose he did it this way.
Hi, Ann. What you doing Saturday night?
Well, I guess I'm busy.
Oh, yeah? Any chance of giving him the brush off for me?
Well, of all the nerve!
Well, is there another way?
Ann? This is Woody. Well, I have a ticket for the High Teen Carnival Saturday, and... Well, would you like to go?
Why, yes, Woody. I'll have to talk to my folks about it, but I think I can go.
Jane, I know there's still rules, but
Yeah.
what are they today?
They've changed a lot with all the technology, that's for sure. You know, I think that if you can put together a concrete plan and put together some values that go with it, you can have some success. Nowadays, first dates, that's a big one. People don't even know what to do on a first date. And I always say first date should be 3 components to it. One is just quick, a drink, a meeting. The second date could be doing an activity of some sort. Then the third one could be dinner. If you do dinner in a first date, it's like having 2/3 of the date all up front. You're sitting there, it's like an interview. By the time you get on your third date, you can have something to talk about. You've got some experience with this person, you've done some stuff, and you can talk about it. It's not like 50 questions with one another.
Often you go on dates, it's like going to an audition
Yeah.
or a job interview where you're answering questions and all that sort of stuff. I tend to agree the first date should be light, like drinks, coffee, but if magic happens, lightning strikes, keep it going.
Well, there's exceptions to every
there's
rule.
exceptions. But
Who pays for that
basically,
drink? Who pays
you
for
want
that
it.
first drink?
Oh, the men do.
There you go.
Yeah, the men
I'm
always
glad to
men
hear
should
that.
always pay first. And then, but one challenge for men is, let's say around the second date, third date. Okay, at the end of the date, what's the game? What are the rules of engagement today? And what's going on in Hollywood and in the media and with our politicians? What are the rules of engagement? Is it okay to lean over and give a kiss? Where do you plant the kiss? And then there's that awkwardness because you're not sure how she's going to respond. My modus operandi when I dated was always to go for a nice, polite kiss on the cheek. And if she turned inwards, okay, maybe go for the lips. Men like it. Okay, this is nice. If a woman's interested, to show some interest.
Well, then the signals are clear.
Signals,
then the clear. Okay,
clear
then we know where we're
Let
going.
them know you want to go out again.
Yeah.
Also, what's interesting is the ones that just don't get matched.
Yeah.
Some people never find the great love or the great love, and the thing is to find it later in life and to maintain it. On that note, let's go back to Idea City, and can this be our future cure for loneliness? Robots?
I was totally convinced that by the year 2050, people would not only be having sex with robots, people would be falling in love with them.
So do sex robots contribute to developing empathy or interrupt it? I want to say here today that it interrupts the development of our empathy.
How can we provide satisfactory sexual relationships for people who don't have the ability themselves to find their own sexual partners? There is no political way to do that. Such people either have no sex at all, or they have to have sex with a robot or maybe with a prostitute.
None of what you've just said there makes any sense to anybody who knows anything about a relationship.
Companion robots. Let's talk about sex. April, you've written lots about it.
I have a chapter in my book called Sex is Wasted on the Young. The beautiful thing about Zoomer sex is you can have fun. You get over the hang-ups about how you look. We don't look as gorgeous as we used to. We'll get over it. We just got back from 3 weeks in Palm Springs, and we went swimming nude every day. Fun and frolicking. So sex, we can't get pregnant at our age. It's fabulous. And it's about having fun, but you have to care for each other. It can't just be like a one-night stand. Having that caring for each other, it makes it so much more magical.
And let me ask you this. What was your take from that clip as far as robotic companions? Not just for sex, but like company.
This leaves me cold. You know, and people have these gizmos in their house now. Hey Google, you know and have these machines. They talk to you, but it's American based. I don't like it. I like living, breathing flesh. Leaves me cold.
In all its imperfection.
What's that doing to our society if we go down that road? It's going to be like computers and phones. It drives us further apart. Somebody mentioned earlier about writing letters, communicating, having a conversation. How many times do we go to a restaurant and you see a couple having dinner and they're both on their phones?
Exactly.
Okay, what kind of relationship is that? For all we know, they're texting each other because they don't. But who knows? I just find it just further divides us and takes us apart. And that's one of the big things I think was the challenges of society is there's so many things pulling men and women apart. We need to bring us together.
Jane, you had said another conversation you and I had that you think it's going to go full circle and we're going to go
totally
back to being old-fashioned again.
I just think it's going to hit a wall. Everyone's fed up with it and they want to change. It's like all the politics, everything. Change. Everybody's ready for change. It's time to slow things down.
I really like that. We'll be right back, but first, let's hear more about what you have to say about Zoomer dating.
I myself, about 5 years ago, went on a seniors dating site and met a couple of people, but the West End's a good place to meet people too.
It does seem there are a lot of wonderful, wonderful women who can't find partners, and yet a lot of the men seem to find women. I guess that's just the way things work out.
Carpe Diem. Seizing the day for Canadians as we age.
We're talking Zoomer dating and sex. Bert, do you think that men do have it easier out there?
I think men do have it easier. It's tough to find men. We know, my wife and I know so many wonderful women who are divorced or single and they can't find a decent guy. And quite frankly, I don't think men have really evolved as well as women have in the last 40 years.
Well, why do you say that?
I just don't think men have really stepped up to the plate and getting in touch with their emotional side, their feminine side, communicating.
And especially the older chaps, maybe, because they were maybe brought up to be
oh, yeah.
men don't cry.
Oh yeah, men don't cry. Our heroes were people like G.I. Joe, James Bond, Ernest Hemingway's code hero in all of his books. Right. You know, the tough, loving, the battle-worn guy who goes out.
Hard drinking.
Yeah, hard drinking, hard womanizing, but they don't exist. Not in today's world.
I've met some of them, they do exist. All right, it's time for our final thoughts. Jane, give us some tips on Zoomer dating and love.
I say, you know, stay in your dating lane. I think a lot of people nowadays are dating outside of their age range. And a lot of the Zoomer guys are dating younger girls. So where does that leave the Zoomer women?
Yeah, give you an example. A man is in his, let's say, in his 50s or 60s now, and she's in her 40s. Well, what happens when he turns 80? Where's she going to be? Well, she might have a lot of money, and she can move on to some other relationship, but it's not that great a relationship. I think you're right. You have to stay in your lane, and you have to have that commonality.
My advice would be don't settle. Be absolutely true to who you are as a human being, because you're not desperate. So don't settle what they used to call the BTN, better than nothing relationship. No, you're worth more. So keep your integrity and be honest with yourself.
But you have to be prepared to compromise in a
that word I learned, compromise.
Yeah. And don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
That's right.
Zoomer love is fun. And being a Zoomer, as long as you've got your health.
Jane, I'm going to call you right after the show because right now we have to say adios. Remember, as our CART president, Moses Neimer, always says, the best way to keep going is to keep going. So stay zippy and seize your day.